Hi, Luther Lee Emerson. It's Mrs. Spence. I'm happy to be here today to be your mystery reader. I've really been enjoying reading the book Shine. I hope that you guys have all been enjoying it, reading it with your families as well. Today we are going to read chapters 6 through 10. So if you can get your books ready, we can start together. Okay, so chapter 6 is The Dog Days of December. "I'm sorry, Piper," says Mrs. Gilbert. "I can't pay you this week. Mr. Pugsley had to go to the vet, and I had to buy him some medicine, and," as Mrs. Gilbert explains her situation, I can tell how much the little dog means to her. She cradles him in her arms like a baby. When she licks her face, it makes her laugh. Mrs. Gilbert adopted Mr. Pugsley from an animal rescue group when he was 7 years old. She told me he'd been at the shelter for 10 months because everyone always wants to adopt puppies instead of older dogs. But Mrs. Gilbert thought she and Mr. Pugsley could enjoy their golden years together, and she lucked out because Mr. Pugsley is the best. He also needs special food. That's okay, Mrs. Gilbert, I tell her. Today's dog walk is my gift to you. Happy holidays. I guess Dad will just have to open an empty box on Christmas morning because I definitely won't have enough money to buy him that engraved picture frame. I take Mr. Pugsley around the block. He looks up at me and sort of smiles and snorts. I think that's how dogs say thanks. 15 minutes later, he poops. When I go to scoop it, I accidentally drop my phone into the poop. Ugh, happy holidays to me. At least I don't have to worry about the camera lens being smeared. My phone is such an antique. The camera hasn't worked for years. While I'm cleaning poop off my phone with a plastic bag, Mr. Pugsley snorts and yanks, and I get tangled up in his leash and somehow step in the poop that I still haven't scooped. I'm not exactly sure how that happened. Maybe the chaos theory of cosmetology would explain it. They sometimes call it the butterfly effect because some systems are so complex, like the weather or dog poop scooping, that very small changes can make a huge difference over time. For instance, if a butterfly flaps its wings, it might create just enough wind to throw off a computer's long-range weather predictions. If a pug snorts a funny backward snuffle, it might startle you enough to accidentally step in its poop. I try to clean the gunk out of my sneaker treads with the pointy tip of a stick, but you can never scrape it all out. You know what I mean? So I go home without any money and stinky sneakers. Since I can't afford to buy Dad that engraved picture frame until Mrs. Gilbert can afford to pay me, I decide to give him a handmade IOU. This is why on the afternoon of Christmas Eve, my bed is littered with all sorts of craft project supplies. Felts, glitter, glue, scissors, hole punch, sequins, and stars. Lots and lots of stars. Not to brag, but the finished project is pretty spectacular. I'm tying a bow around the envelope, made out of felt, but Dad burst into my room. He's waving his phone up and down excitedly. "This is the best Christmas ever," he announces. I grin because I figure he peeked through the door and saw me working on my awesome craft project. I, of course, am wrong. All right, now we're moving on to chapter 7, Holiday Surprises. "You won't believe who just called," says Dad. I shrug. "Santa Claus?" "Better, Dr. Osgood Throckmorton." "Who? And how on Christmas Eve would he possibly be better than Santa?" "Dr. Throckmorton is the middle school headmaster at Chumley Prep." Ugh, Chumley, the kids with the blue blazers and bad attitudes. "Really?" I say. "Is he demanding an a cappella rematch?" Dad laughs. "Nope, but apparently Chumley Prep isn't big on losing." "Yeah," I say, remembering my backstage encounter. "I don't think those kids ever thought they'd lose anything to anybody." So many parents called to complain, the music director decided to quit. I guess he was going to retire in June anyway, but he told Dr. Throckmorton the parents might be happier if he spent up his plans. So why did Dr. Throckmorton call you? Is he blaming you for the other guy quitting? Dad chuckles. No, he wants me to take Mr. Glass's place. Huh? Dr. Throckmorton offered me a job as Chumley Prep's new middle school choir master and music instructor. But you already have a job. I know, says Dad, and I love it. But Piper, this'll be better for both of us. And when I told him that my wife was the late Antoinette Pelosi, well, that sealed it. She's still something of a legend at Chumley, you know? Yes, I want to say, of course I do. You talk about it all the time. But I just nod and smile. Dr. Throckmorton said that there's a plaque with Mom's name on it in the music building. Mom has a plaque? Yep. They have a music building? My middle school has a band room, not a whole building for music. Honey, they have everything. Well, wow, I say, because it's what I always say when I really don't know what to say. Wow. I know, says Dad. They want me to take over when the winter term starts on January 2nd. Youch, Dad sounded excited. Me? I'm wondering if he really should be so eager to work at a school where the angry parents of an a cappella kids hounded the old music director into an early retirement. But I don't want to rain on his parade, especially since he used to be a drum major in college, and parades are sort of his thing. He marches around the room excitedly, telling me more good stuff. His salary will be doubled. We'll work with some super talented singers. And I'll have my own music room, he says. Then he adds, almost whispering because it sounded too good to be true, with a Steinway Grand. He says Steinway Grand. The other people might say diamond-encrusted tiara. And since my class load won't be nearly as heavy as it was at Fairview, I'll actually have time to write my music. Piper, I can walk on Dreamtime again. Dreamtime is a Broadway show Dad has been tinkering with on weekends and holidays my whole life. Have you ever had a song stuck in your head for 12 years? Yeah, it's like that. Then Dad drops the bomb. They're giving you free tuition, Piper. You start the same day I do. Wait, what? Rewind. I have to go to Chumley too? What I'd ever do to deserve that? All that really comes out is swallowed, huh? While my mind flashes through a rapid-fire series of images, Hannah and my friends at Westside waving goodbye, a swarm of navy blue blazers and plaid skirts, Ainsley, that mean girl from Chumley, making fun of my shoes, and the dog poop that's probably still stuck in the soles. You're going to Chumley Prep, just like Mom did, says Dad, for free. Do you know how much an education like that costs these days? I shake my head. $45,000 a year. Wow, I know. He sits down on the edge of my bed and shakes his head in disbelief. He's kind of choked up. I've always hoped I could, somehow, some way, give you the kind of education you deserve, Piper. And now, well, I can. Sure, I'll miss the kids at Fairview and my faculty friends and my dinky little music room with that beat-up old upright piano. But did I mention the Steinway? I nod. I know you'll miss your friends too, Dad continues, but an opportunity like this doesn't come along every day. Just on Christmas Eve, I say. Exactly. Merry Christmas, honey, and a very happy New Year for both of us. He's so excited he has to call a bunch of his friends and tell them how this has turned out to be the best Christmas ever. Me? I'm kind of mad. At Dad for not even asking my opinion before yanking me out of Westside and hauling me off to Chumley. At myself for not speaking up and letting him know how upset I am. I also wasted a ton of time making a stupid IOU with sequins and sparkles. I tuck my homemade gift under a pillow. Dad won't be interested in a fancy picture frame, not after Dr. Throckmorton Claus has already given him what he considers the greatest Christmas present since gold. Chumley Prep? Bah, humbug. All right, Chapter 8, Post-Holiday Shopping. Guess what Santa brought me? One of the Neely Dumont fizzy books I wanted, which is cool, but mostly Chumley Prep uniforms, a Chumley pencil case, and a Chumley water bottle. Well, computer printouts of them anyway. Dad did some serious online shopping on Christmas Eve. The day after Christmas, Hannah comes over. We still have some sugar cookies in a round tin, which Hannah immediately pries open. This time, she bites off the bottom of a snowman. Seriously, she says when I tell her my news. Her mouth is full of sparkly cookie crumbs. Chumley Prep? You? Yeah, my dad's going to be their middle school music teacher and choir director. Piper, you're making a huge mistake. Huh? Your father can't do this to you. Well, it wasn't up to me, I tell her. Those kids are like alien freaks, Piper. They are so not like us. Do you know what kids at Chumley Prep do on winter break? Not really. Well, they don't sit around reading stargazer books and eating Christmas cookies. They fly someplace exotic on their parents' private jet. Sometimes the jets have a gourmet chef too. Their jets have kitchens? Yep, some even have showers. I've seen them on TV. Come on, she grabs me by the hand. Where are we going? To my house. You need help. My mother will drive us over to the Winterist collection. Why Winterist? Why not 12 Mile Mall? It's closer. Haya sighs. Because Piper, 12 Mile is a mall. Winterist is a collection. That means it's fancier than a mall. More expensive too. I can't afford. We're not going to buy anything silly. We're going to observe Chumley kids and their natural habitat. Aren't they all gone? I thought they flew someplace exotic for the holidays. Not all of them, Piper. Some of them have to stay here and shop. Or else the Winterist collection would go out of business. You need to see what you're up against if your father makes you go through with this Chumley thing. Oh, okay. Mrs. Chanel drives us to the elegant and upscale. What's that? That's what they say in all their ads. Winterist collection. If you ask me, it's just a mall with a shinier doorknobs, more marble floors, fancier stores, and a real piano player instead of a pre-recorded Muzak. We do see some kids our own age, including one or two I recognize from the Chumley Prep a cappella group. They're loaded down with shopping bags from Cole Haan, J. Crew, Giorgio Armani, Neiman and Marcus, and Salvador Ferragamo. I have no idea who any of these people are. They're not people, Hannah tells me. They're brands. Piper, luxury brands. To survive at Chumley, you need to have the right tags on your clothes. Actually, they have to wear uniforms, which you also have to accessorize. Purses, shoes, jewelry, that's where the rich kids make their fashion statements. I'm thinking about Dad wearing black sneakers with white socks. Hannah's right. He and I will never fit in at Chumley. She drags me to a bookstore where we flip through some glossy magazines, including one called The Guided Tween Scene. See, says Hannah. She points at an article about today's hottest, hippiest hobbies. Apparently, for fun, kids like the ones at Chumley enjoy trapeze arts, yacht sailing, Formula One go-karting racing, summering in the winter, horseback riding, and fashion accessorizing. Yeah. My favorite activities, on the other hand, are sitting around in the dark and looking up at the sky. I'm sure I'll make a ton of friends when they hear about that. Plus, says Hannah, they all have private tutors and go to academic summer camps. I know I love you, Piper, but you are so not in the same league. Hannah, I say, feeling kind of queasy, can we text your mother, have her pick us up? But we haven't hit half the shops. I know, but I can't afford to buy anything here, and I need to walk Mrs. Gilbert's dog. And Hannah grabs my arm. Her face looks like an OMG emoji. She starts hopping up and down. Look! She points to the floor in front of a jewelry store. There's a thick wad of cash clasped inside a sleek silver money clip sitting right there. Come on, Piper, says Hannah. This is our lucky day. We're going on a free shopping spree. All right, chapter 9, all about the Benjamins. We can't take that, I tell Hannah. Yes, we can. No, we can't. Haven't you ever heard of finders keepers? My friend Hannah is famous for being sort of wild. One time on a dare, not from me, she drank a whole bottle of maple syrup. It was one of those tiny ones they give you at a pancake house, but still. Anyway, I'm pretty sure she will grab the wad of money off the floor and stuff it into her purse unless I beat her to it, which I do. I glance at the folded over cash. It's mostly $100 bills. I recognize Benjamin Franklin's face. And there's lots of them, maybe 10. That's $1,000. You know we can't keep this, right? I say. Yeah, but we should, says Hannah. You could use your half to buy Chumley school supplies. You know, designer handbags, shoes, those big sunglasses that look like bug eyes. They have all sorts of discount designer items at the outlet stores. We need to give the money back, Hannah. To who? It was on the floor. There's nobody's name on it. We can take it to a mall security. This isn't a mall, it's a collection. Whatever, I'm sure they have a security office. They do, and we find it. Of course, we pass a lot of interesting shops along the way. And Hannah keeps saying stuff like, oh, look, a Gucci bag. You're going to need one of those if you go to Chumley. Turns out somebody had already asked the security office to keep an eye out for this money clip. Good thing it's engraved with initials. It'll make it harder for the wrong person to claim it. Thanks, the officer says. Not everyone would do what you just did. Hannah glares at me. I guess she thinks the guard is confirming her whole finders keepers philosophy. Finally, her mom picks us up. It's a very quiet ride home. Thanks for taking us to the mall, I tell Mrs. Schnell, when we pull into my driveway. Hannah rolls her eyes because I forgot to say collection again. Good luck at your new school, Mrs. Schnell, as I climb out of the car. I smile and wave goodbye. Then I head into the garage to grab my bike so I can ride over to Mrs. Gilbert's. I'm scared, I tell Mr. Pugsley while we're out on our walk. He's a very good listener. Unless there's an interesting garbage bag to sniff, Dad just doesn't get it. I won't fit in. I wonder how Mom felt at Chumley. Her family didn't have a lot of money, but she was a star there. I've seen her yearbooks. She was also really pretty. Mr. Pugsley, really, really pretty. That's something else we don't have in common. I mean, I'm okay, but my mom, she was beautiful. We finish our walk. I take Mr. Pugsley back home and Mrs. Gilbert pays me. It's an Abe, $5, or it's an Abe, $5. It's a start. 19 more walks and I'll actually have a Benjamin, but I'm not sure even one of those will help me at Chumley. All right, our last chapter together, which is chapter 10, Welcome to Chumley. Can I go home now? January 2nd comes faster than any second day in any new year since they first invented calendars. I spent the rest of the week between Christmas and New Year's saying goodbye to all my friends at Westside. You'll do great at Chumley, said my friend Alyssa. You're super smart, said Charlotte. Don't try out for the choir, said Joe, or the school musical or band. You should probably avoid band too. I put on a brave face. Inside, I'm terrified. I'm also still a little mad at Dad. Chumley might be his big dream for both of us, but for me, it's more like a nightmare. Anyway, for the first time ever, we're actually driving to school together. This is fun, he says. You and me commuting together. We should get matching Chumley travel mugs. They sell them at the gift shop. Okay, I mumble. Dad is so into this, he doesn't even notice how scared I am. And guess what, kiddo? I have my own parking space. Actually, it's my own spot, but it still has Mr. Glass painted on the curb. They've promised me they'd stencil it in Mr. Millie's later this week. We pass the mansions with the oak trees and the golf course. Pulling off the main road, we glide through a tall wall of neatly trimmed evergreens, then crunch our way up a pebbled driveway. Chumley Prep looks like a college campus. At my old school, we had crossing guards. At Chumley, they have professional security guards who wear earpieces and look like they just retired from the Secret Service. Guess they'll be the ones who stop me if I try to escape. Dad pulls into Mr. Glass's parking spot. Our Subaru seems to be out of place next to all the hulking SUVs and Mercedes and Tesla electric vehicles cruising up the main drive. Welcome to the first day of the rest of our lives, kiddo, Dad announces as we climb out of the car. He's humming a tune, one from the score of his musical. I don't think I've ever seen him this happy about anything, so I try to go with it. It looks amazing, I say. It is amazing, Piper. As we make our way to the main entrance, I see adults who remind me of Hollywood movie stars and fashion magazine models. They all look stylish and fit, glossy and glowy. The kids, of course, are just in uniforms. The parents sort of are too. A lot of moms wear puffy ski parkas and shiny leather pants. Some are in yoga outfits. Their purses have somebody's initials stamped all over them, just like the ones I saw at the Winterist collection. Other moms and dads are dressed in power suits and shoes that glisten. I also see what looks like an army of nannies toting backpacks. "Good luck, Piper," Dad says as he puts both of his hands on my shoulders and looks at me with smiling eyes. "And honey, no matter what happens today, remember one thing. We have our own reserved parking space?" Dad laughs. "Okay, there's that. You also have a Steinway Grand." I say Steinway Grand, the awestruck way he says it. "True, but more importantly, Piper, know that I love you. Always have, always will. You want me to walk you in?" "Dad, I'm in the 7th grade. I'll be fine." "Good luck, kiddo." He gives me a quick kiss on the forehead and peels off to the Performing Arts Center. I take a deep breath and start climbing the steep steps to the main building. One good thing about school uniforms, everybody more or less looks the same. It's very easy to disappear into the plaid skirt background. All right, friends, and that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed chapters 6 through 10. I hope you enjoy the rest of the book and have fun with your next mystery reader. Thank you and have a good night.